So with the Game Awards show today, whether or not we get new info, we have been promised to have exclusive info on Spider-Man 2 from the Deeper Depths host. Now we have a lot to unravel in this video. If you could leave a like on this video, it helps a lot, so I'd really appreciate it. But if you actually get to the end and you say, well, I didn't enjoy the video, then feel free to turn your like into a dislike. But if you could drop a like right now, it helps a ton. So the Deeper Depths host, aka the same guy who strategically interviewed Venom's voice actor, getting some huge info, said that Tony Todd, of course who is Venom's voice actor, actually dialed in 10 minutes before their show went live, and that there is more info that will be released this Saturday. Now, I'm not sure if this was held off until now, as he may have needed to get the green light from Tony, as of course it was not on live, so it depends how big the info is and what Tony knows as far as when the info is dropping for this game officially anyway. So it's one of those, I guess, 50-50 scenarios, but nonetheless, we've been told it's exclusive info, and he strategically interviewed the voice actor, getting out some really interesting information for this game, so I am very excited to find out what that actually is. Now, I've seen multiple comments mention the fact that, of course, the Across the Spider-Verse trailer is coming on the 13th of this month, and how ultimately Sony could interlink it with this game. And well, that's actually pretty much what happened with the first game, so it makes total sense, and of course that would just drive up the hype insanely, because you have both viewers for the film and then the game, and then people just simply realizing, wow, there's also a game releasing at the same time sort of thing. So at that point the hype would just be incredibly high, and as I say, it was a similar strategy to the first game, so I think we may be onto something here, especially considering we have Miles in this game too, and also considering it was a successful strategy already pulled off with the first game, just hitting record sales. And bear in mind, the sales that the first Spider-Man game did is just absolutely insane, so there is no doubt that they are going to follow a very similar strategy. At least it would make complete sense to do so anyway. Now, I want to talk about customization in this game, because that'd be huge, but someone mentioned on a previous video regarding this game being delayed, and that, I quote, "Everyone needs to remember that the game can get delayed but still release in 2023. For example, they may have originally planned to release this game in May and then it gets delayed all the way to December. But no matter what, they still aim to release it in 2023. And I think that just pretty much, I guess, debunks all the myths so far, because A, if the game was going to go past 2023, we definitely would have been told by now. B, of course, the Wolverine game is in the works too, planned for more or less 2024/2025, or at least what we think anyway, so again, those timelines wouldn't actually matter, or should we say actually match up to begin with. It actually cause a very big problem. But also the fact that we've just simply been told 2023 kind of, I guess, saves their back, so they could technically delay the game without anyone ever knowing it's been delayed, and it would make complete sense for that actually to be the case. And overall, I just think that's really important to take into account. Now, me personally, I'm all for this game being delayed a few months. I just want it to be released next year as a whole. But equally, we'd all much rather a polished game than just a game slapped together to make it to the release date, and this further proves that December is more likely, or at least towards the end of next year, as the second they roll out gameplay, etc., there's no doubt that they will go ahead and implement or tweak things that we mention as fans, or just simply spot, right? And as I say, it all makes complete sense, because you can arguably say, well, a lot of people are really hyped up for this game, the first game had a huge amount of success. If there's anything we've been taught this year, I guess the hype behind the game to an extent really doesn't matter that much, right? Even if they've had a great track record prior. I mean, look at Cyberpunk. Sure, those guys didn't have, well, a previous Cyberpunk game, but as far as the developers go, that was a complete different story, right? They actually had a fairly good track record. So just like we can say Insomniac Games are kind of in the green light as far as trusting them and just knowing they deliver, if they slap together a really anticipated game and throw it out there, it will instantly backfire. So it's just really important to accept the delay and not actually be fazed by it, care if it actually happens. But as I say, I genuinely think we're just in that phase where if it's happened or if it hasn't, we'll never know anyway. All we have been told is that 2023 is the year, and I think that's all we are expecting at this moment in time. And even when we actually get the trailer or gameplay, I still feel we're not going to get an exact release date. I still feel like we might just get a season, for example, for 2023, which is likely to happen until they actually feel the game is fully polished and ready to be put out into the universe. Now, in regards to customization in this game, it's something that I feel is a must, especially with the characters we have. Now, it's been something that I've been banging on about since the first game, as it ultimately substitutes mods for the console players, and not to mention how much it would actually just increase the replayability of the game. It's something I'm super curious to see, as I know a lot of you guys are too, and I do genuinely feel it's very, very important. Now, of course, we did have new info on the map size yesterday and potentially how big it is, but after reading comments, it's all clear that sure, a big map is nice and all, but if it's not dense, it's kinda big for nothing, and if anything, it would actually just have more of a negative impact than a positive. And this is where we tie back to my point about customization, just a small feature to where we can possibly create our own suits. Of course, we had a lot of customization options as a whole, with upgrading the character in the first game and mixing and matching powers, so that's something I hope they've just doubled down on in general, especially between Miles and Peter as a whole. Now, of course, not to mention this theory on the Venom expansion where we play as him solely, right? So you can see where this would make the game incredibly fun. Now, I feel like customization is a big thing, more so because a lot of the games more recently are including it, and if we go back to 2018, I guess it wasn't really that big of a deal, right? Or as far as a norm goes, sure, most games had it, but it still wasn't one of those expected things. However, I don't think it's a make it or break it type scenario, right? It's just one of those perks, but it's more so just making the individual player ultimately feel, I guess, like their characters are more personal to an extent, like we already have the basic suits added in the game, but basically just taking it a step further. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments below. Now, of course, whenever you're watching this video, we either did get new information from the Game Awards or we simply didn't. I'm currently on the fence where if we're going to get anything, I feel like it might just be some sort of a teaser. It's definitely not going to be a piece of gameplay, because there's no doubt they would actually hold that off until their own platform events. We know how Sony are, so if anything, it would just be a teaser, but at the same time, we are definitely in that position with this game where I've said multiple times this week and in general, where they do not need a big event to promote this game. They are already big individuals as a whole. They have a great track record with the first game. The trailer has almost 30 million views. They can drop it on their own platforms whenever they like, and it honestly wouldn't differentiate how much people are excited, whether they see it at the Game Awards or another major event. They can literally just do it whenever they feel like. But if we take things into context, like of course the trailer for movies in general, I guess all of this stuff can interlink and make complete sense. But the news that dropped yesterday on the map size in this game is beyond crazy, so check that video out on screen right now. You do not want to miss it.